For the night. It's a bit of soul-searching, Andrew. Where do they plug the holes of this ship that's starting to get a little bit of that sinking feeling?
Well, obviously the big one tonight, they didn't have Kalen Ponga. There's some players out. Greg Marju's out, Bradman Best. Adam Elliott's gone for the year. He tore his pec or bicep. Jacob Safudi's not there. But look, other teams and other clubs have injuries, but they still compete. I think at one stage the Bulldogs had 8 or 9 out and they were still beating teams. Look, their attack is just, it's got no strike at all. I said on the Sunday Footy Show a couple of weeks ago that, look, Tyson Gamble competes and he's tough, but he's not a halfback. It's another combination, Gamble and Cogger in the halves. I really don't know. Look, Hastings is there, but they're not going to play him. So this is the combination moving forward they're going to have in the halves. When Kalen comes back, whether they play Cogger at 7 and they put Fletcher Sharp at 5'8", but they've just got to find stability in the key positions. But it was pedestrian tonight when they're going through their set plays. The defence was never under any duress whatsoever.
I'll tell you one bright spark, Fletcher Hunt.
He competes, doesn't he?
He competes. Up in the air, I thought he was fantastic. On both sides of the footy, up in the air. His aerial attack is fantastic. They can utilise that going forward. I think that's a really key component for them. And if they get a few people like that around, it's going to start changing the tide. And I agree with what Joey's saying with that spine and getting that stability. But I was actually really impressed with him tonight. I
thought Gal made a good point about the dummy halves. There's no real threat out of dummy half. Fernis Crossan doesn't run the ball that often. Jaden Brayley, there's no zip there. Whether they can manufacture someone out of dummy half, where there's some speed out of dummy half, we saw tonight Damien Cook punched around the middle of the field. In these wet conditions, it is the simplest way to attack, but it's the most dangerous. It's very hard to move the ball laterally and make some breaks out wide. I thought the Dragons adjusted the way they play. They need some speed and need some options out of dummy half. But at the moment, they're in a hole. Kalen hopefully will change things up when he comes back, but yeah, it was a tough watch tonight.
Tonight, the Dragons, they're the team celebrating, and I'm pleased to say their coach Shane Flanagan joins us now. Fleddo, a win against Brisbane before the bye, fresh in the week off, and a vital win at home tonight. Well done.
Yeah, it was important, 2 points, they all are, but off the back of a bye and a pretty good performance against Brisbane, we just wanted to back it up, and it was a pretty good defensive effort tonight. I thought, they scored 1 try, and at half-time, I think we only missed 2 tackles, which is pretty good in an NRL game. So overall, I'm pretty pleased. Would have liked 2 tries there that we bombed in the back end of that second half. Score probably should have been, 32 to 6 would have been, probably, fair score, but we didn't get them. We weren't good enough to nail those 2 tries.
Flano, you've debuted a lot of young players and they're local juniors. You must be happy with the way the club, the junior pathways, is producing these young players?
Yeah, Joey, some of those kids that are coming into first grade this year, and, Ryan Couchman's out with an ACL, and Dylan Egan's out with an ACL, and they're going to be fantastic players for a long, long time at this club. And, Toby did a great job tonight. Lyken's only 19, and, as I said, I could put a 20-year-old side out there, and half of them are under 21, so really exciting for the club, and every game they're playing, they're getting better.
Shane, we were talking to your son Kyle earlier, and he said that this next block of games is really important for you guys. How do you keep them sharpened and sort of pushing forward in this really good period for you?
Coach's son, he's always singing about next week. Yeah, it is an important block. I think always during Origin, sides that they don't drop the bundle, but it's always got a bit of disruption in camp. They haven't got their players training all week, so you've got to nail it. And if you can come away through Origin with a majority of your wins, I think you put yourself in a really good position come at the back end of the year, and you can play semi-finals. So we've got a real focus on the next couple of weeks, and if we can get them done, we're a chance at the back end.
Well done, Flano. We'll see you next Friday night in Brisbane for the Dolphins.
Thank you. Good night.
Shane Flanagan, the Dragons coach, pretty happy with what he's seen out there tonight. Obviously, would have liked a couple more tries on the board, but the defensive side of it, that always pleases the coaches most, doesn't it, Roo?
Yeah, absolutely. I think defence is where you win games and your attack just decides by how much. I think that's really important to make sure that you're watertight in that. And you can see that their systems are really starting to get to work now. But I have to agree with what was said by both Freddie and Joey, is their ability to change up their game plan on the run and be able to take advantage of the conditions was also really impressive.
Bang on. All right, let's head back to Cogra now, where the celebrations continue, and we find Gal and Emma.
Thank you, James. Yeah, Gal's loving this with his old mate Shane Flanagan there. Kyle was actually just getting stuck into him about his makeup. I think it looks all right, actually, Gal.
Leave me alone.
Sorry, had to bring it up. Gal seems unflappable, but not about the makeup comment. But I tell you what, the Dragons tonight, outstanding, and particularly the likes of David Clemmer, Damien Cook, former Blues, and so much experience. What do they add to this Dragons outfit?
I thought Clemmer was really good in the first half. He led the way. I think he led the metres gained at half-time for everybody on the field. And obviously Cookie ran off the back of that and made some breaks, got himself a try as well. I think it will set one up. So I thought they were great. And look, I spoke to Flano in the off-season after I trained with the young Loco, and he said, look, he didn't want to debut him too early because he didn't have enough experience around him. So he went out and he wanted to get an experienced front rower. And he obviously got David Clemmer, which I think has been really good for the club. Clemmer's probably at the back end of his career, but to put a young bloke like Loco out there with an experienced front row and just teach him about the game, that's what he really needed, and he's done that. Loco's now in his third game of first grade, scored a great try today. So the future is bright for that young man, and he's learning off the likes of David Clemmer. Cookie's been outstanding. I think he was great today. I think he really knows the conditions out there. They were trying to go side to side early on the first 20 minutes of the match. It just wasn't working. At no stage did they even create an overlap. They realised that they go through the opposition and through the Newcastle Knights defence, and they did that. Scored 3 tries in the first half. As Flano said, bombed a couple in the second half. Had they got them, the scoreline would have looked a whole lot better for them. But they did enough in the first half to get the lead. And as we know, the Newcastle Knights attack is just really struggling. They couldn't score any. Well, they scored 1 try, that was it, but didn't make many line breaks at all. So it was a good win overall to the Dragons, and hopefully for them they can keep the winning ways up. You've got to remember they've lost 3 games by 1 point. So had they won a couple of them, they'd be well and truly inside that top 8, but they had a good win tonight.
There's Clem in the shed, soaking it up with a couple of the kids. Now, Gal, you were saying in commentary, big game. Oh, big day for you tomorrow, rather, ahead of the fight. So you've got boxing in the morning, bit of sparring, and then some weight. So what's your training regime look like at the moment?
Yeah, just basically punching the bags and the pads with my trainer most days, and a little bit of weights, a little bit of fitness in between. But, yeah, but tomorrow's not a real big day. Today was a bigger day. Tomorrow's just a little bit of a pad work in the morning, a little bit of weights after that, and I head off to do radio a day. So it's preparation, the event's going to come around quick. Preparation is going good, but we're about 6.5 weeks out now, and yeah, I can tell you, obviously tickets are on sale. Get out there on Ticket Tech and buy some tickets, but yeah, I can tell you this build-up is all real between me and Sonny. We don't like each other. We never have.
Why is that?
Look, we just don't. Yeah, some people just don't like each other. Obviously, there's always been talk about me and Sonny fighting. It's obviously never happened, but it's going to happen now. So we get to sort out whatever differences we have, but we just don't like each other. I don't like it. I've got to be honest, I don't ever really respect him since what he done to the Bulldogs. I thought that was a real low act what he done there, leaving your mates overnight. It's hard to respect a guy like that for me. I just don't respect him for what he did there. He's been a great athlete, there's no doubting that. He's been a great athlete for a long time, played dual codes, done pretty good, had a pretty good career in boxing, but I just can't respect the guy for what he did there. And some of the things he's done lately, like my tune's changed about him. I've always supported him. I've always said I don't think he's a bad person, but I've worked out he's a liar.
Strong words.
Yeah, well, they're true.
There you go. Bring it on. If you weren't already excited, James, you will be now. The QR code on the bottom of your screen for all of the details.
Yeah. 6.5 weeks of this, of Gal just getting in these little short jabs. Love it. Thank you, Emma. Thank you, Gal. Those sheds where Gutho celebrates right now is where we are going to be hearing from some of those players following tonight's win. Fatty recounts that epic 1995 series win for the Maroons as well. And don't forget, Sunday footy, the old grudge match, Battle of the Golden West, the Panthers and Para head-to-head live and free from 3 here on Nine's Wide World of Sports.
Can I just apologise to all the Derricks out there, especially the one I surfed with at Bronte. Sorry, Derricks.
More to come in just a moment.